everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. I think we can all agree that 2020 was not exactly what we expected, and I think in most aspects it was a pretty rough and disappointing year, to put it mildly. That said, I would argue that it wasn't all bad. Yes, even as far as costuming goes, most in-person events were cancelled, but I really feel that the costume community came together as a collective and proved themselves to be such a wonderful community of fellow costumers. I have made so many new friends with new costumers this year through YouTube, Instagram, Zoom, etc., and it's really been a bright spot this year. In addition, all of this time spent at home has really been wonderful for my actual sewing progress. I've gotten so much done this year. Firstly, I never could have given as much attention as I have to this YouTube channel were it not for the fact that everything was cancelled. And in fact, I'm about to hit 1 full year on YouTube since my first video was released on January 10th of last year. And I really have to thank all of you, my viewers, for being so wonderful and supportive in my first year on YouTube. So thank you all so much. And now on to the real wrap-up, exploring everything that I've managed to make this year. I started out the year, like so many others, with big plans for future events like the Victorian Festival, Emerald City Comic Con, and Costume College. I actually plan my costuming year from one costume college to the next costume college. So generally, by the last day of one costume college, I have planned out everything I'm going to make by the following costume college. So that is where January started for me, in the throes of getting through my long list of sewing plans. The first costume I completed was my burgundy velvet ribbon gown. This was going to be my big project of the year, or so I thought at that time. It's a copy of this fashion plate, which has hung on my bedroom wall for a few years. I made this with what basically felt like miles of velvet ribbon, sewing it down to my ivory silk skirt in a window pane pattern. For more details about the making of this gown, check out this video, which I have linked above and below in the description. I finished this towards the end of February, still with full plans to wear it to the upcoming Victorian Festival the following month. Oh, silly, hopeful me. I wore it for a finished project photo shoot in February, but that is the only time this dress has been worn out. After finishing the velvet gown, I jumped straight into working on my next project for the Victorian Festival. My blue Tissot-inspired early bustle gown covered in tons of knife-plated trim. And this is where things started to go south, considering coronavirus. While I was making this dress, Comic-Con and the Victorian Festival, both March events, were cancelled. I finished this dress the weekend of my birthday and took some self-portraits in my backyard and wore it around the neighborhood on a costumed constitutional. Like the burgundy dress, this dress has also not been worn for anything more than pictures and video. At the same time as cutting out my bodice for the blue Tissot bustle, I also cut out mock-ups for an evening gown bodice to go with the burgundy velvet dress and the bodice of my long-planned Daniel Deronda riding habit, but I'll come back to those in a bit. At this point in the year, though, I was feeling a little bit depressed, but I think we were all still feeling hopeful that summer events would continue as planned, so I moved on to the next project on my costume college planning list, an 1830s Governor Ratcliffe costume, which I was making as part of a group costume of 1830s Disney villains for costume college. This dress was finished in mid-April and may actually be one of my favorite things that I've made this year. Sometime in the spring and early summer, I also made 2 reticules and a bunch of masks for myself, family, and friends, but those were all kind of interspersed among other projects. So anyway, after I finished the 1830s Governor Ratcliffe, I returned to those 2 Victorian bodice mock-ups. But alas, my plans were about to come crashing down around me. On April 19th, it was announced that Costume College was cancelled. And there went my sewing mojo. The burgundy velvet bodice was to be my gala gown. Didn't need that anymore. And we were going to do a mini group of Daniel Deronda costumes as well, but the idea of working on either of those projects brought me sadness instead of joy. I needed something new, different, unplanned. Enter the Edwardian era. I wanted to do something simple, to just follow a pattern and have a finished project. Black Snail Patterns was running a sale, and I loved the look of their Edwardian jumper dress, so I purchased that and the Edwardian blouse pattern, taped them all together, and then realized it was completely not the look I wanted. So instead, I reinvented the wheel and created a full early 1900s jumper dress ensemble based on this extant dress. This rather extensive ensemble was complete with an S-bend corset, ruffly corset cover, lacy shirtwaist blouse, and the jumper or pinafore dress. This super easy project I had planned turned out to be anything but I still had fun and completed all the pieces in May. Amazingly, this one I have gotten to wear on one of the few non-cancelled socially distant outdoor events this summer. Success! So now that the palette cleanse project was complete, it was time for another new unplanned project. I and several other costumers fell in love with the 1890s Frozen designs that L'Atelier Amateur shared on her Instagram in April, and decided that we should do a virtual group costume, recreating several of her designs. And the 1890s Elsa Spirit dress, that gown that I technically still haven't finished, was begun. Elsa turned out to be by far the most intensive project of 2020, and possibly of my entire costuming career. That thing was a struggle, and I continued struggling with it for much of the summer. In fact, I struggled with it for so long that a lot of other projects were completed between when I had started in May and when Elsa, Stage 1, was finally completed in September. These were mostly smaller projects though, things I could again use kind of as palette cleansers, but did include one relatively easy historical ensemble as well. So, over the summer, while working on Elsa, I made 3 vintage style skirts and a 19-teens dress based on a butterick pattern. The 19-teens dress was made because there was another actual event coming up, so it was made fairly quickly. Oh, and I also made my bootstrap dress form, which has surprisingly been my second most popular video to date. I also started sharing videos twice weekly in July with the addition of my Tuesday sewing vlogs. They have been so fun to do and literally the best motivator for sewing. If I don't sew, then I can't post a sewing vlog. Elsa version 1 was finally completed in September, and pictures and video were taken. I hope to wear her in 2021 at Costume College and Comic-Con if those events are able to take place. September was also the beginning of spooky season, and with it the beginning of another wonderful collaboration. Kiralee Cosplay and I decided that we should make historical fancy dress costumes and open it up to the entire costuming community through YouTube and Instagram. And thus began my plans for the 19-teens Hussif dress and the 1880s Daisy dress. After making a super quick autumnal circle skirt out of a tablecloth, the Hussif dress came first. That was completed in mid-September and was so much fun to put together. But instead of diving right into the Daisy dress, I decided to jump onto the strawberry dress bandwagon and made myself my own, more vintage-inspired version of the strawberry dress. I got to wear it to the pumpkin patch, but I cannot wait to wear it a lot more this spring and summer. Then it was time for the 1880s Daisy dress, which I finished just in time for Halloween. While I was working on the Daisy dress, I found out that I had been accepted as one of the pattern testers for the new Scroop pattern / Virgil's Fine Goods Amalia jacket pattern. So naturally, that was my next project. I made the jacket and a matching 18th century petticoat out of an IKEA duvet, and this was my first 18th century costuming project since 2014. While working on the jacket, I also made my 1890s bicycle sweater and my Victorian-inspired history bounding apron. And I completely reorganized my fabric stash. Most recently, in December, I also made a plaid 1950s style Christmas dress and 3 comfy plaid skirts for my history bounding wardrobe, which you can see in this Tuesday's video. And that brings us right up to today. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review of my projects of 2020 and that it was interesting to take a look back and see just how much I was able to accomplish when I had nothing else going on in my life. Apparently, this is what happens when I can't do theater. Again, I want to thank you all so much for supporting me this year in all of my YouTube and sewing endeavors. You have been just fantastic and you bring joy to me every day. I hope that your 2020 has had at least some positives in it and that your 2021 will be worlds better. Leave me a comment and let me know some of the things that you have accomplished this year. Whether that's just getting out of bed in the morning or sewing 25 amazing crazy gowns, I love hearing from you. Anyway, if you liked this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a video. I do post videos here on YouTube twice a week with my sewing vlogs on Tuesdays and regular content like this out on Saturdays, but I post every day over my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's @LadyRebeccaFashions. And if you would like to support me and my channel even further, I do have a link to my Ko-fi account down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy 2021 and happy sewing! Dora has commandeered my teleprompter. This video is kindly brought to you by Dora.